Okay, guys, before we get into charts and indicators and strategies, we have to talk about the root of every trade, and that is your brain. Welcome to Trade Brain. We know that the majority of traders fail, right? We know that there's a really high percentage, over 90% of retail traders that are not profitable. And when I first started trading, all I saw was dollar signs, Like I wasn't thinking about psychology, I wasn't thinking about mental fatigue, I wasn't thinking about overstimulation. I didn't care, you know what I mean? Like I didn't care about any of that. And so, over time I understood that like, no, there's actually something going on here because like there's a reason we act the way we do in the market. At the end of the day, our brains, we're all human. At the end of the day, our brains are wired for survival. Like that is our hardware. So they're not wired for stimulation. They're not wired for, the stress and the uncertainty of financial markets. And that makes trading a lot more challenging than just buying and selling. It sounds simple enough, but if it were that simple, there would be, more profitable traders. And so like I used to be really hard on myself. Like I would blame myself. I had really, really nasty self-dialogue. And like at the end of the day, that stuff it's not helpful. It's not because we want to be mean to ourselves, but we just, a lot of people just don't really understand what's going on with their brains and in their bodies when they're under the kind of pressure that the stock market gives us. So like once I really started to understand that like, hey, you switch up a little bit when you get under the pressure of the stock market, it's all good when you make your trading plan and you're waiting on your signals and things, but when you get in the market and you start getting stimulated and you're under pressure and your money's on the line, that person that made the plan, they've left the chat. Like they're not there anymore. So we need to understand how to recognize that before it gets to the point of survival mode. And that's why I want to do this series. Trading is like one of the only environments where you're expected to like sit still, be okay with losing, not do anything for long periods of time. And there's just a lot of uncertainty that goes on. And we have to stay calm throughout that, which is very unnatural to stay calm in uncertainty. Like when your brain senses a threat, it's not thinking about your long-term financial goals, it's thinking about survival. And that's why, survival mode, it gets kicked into high gear, and it's not because you want to be there, it's a natural reaction. But yeah, if you're someone who's been telling yourself like, I know better, I know I can do this, I don't know why this keeps happening to me, like you're not crazy, you're not broken, nothing is wrong with you. I just want to help you understand yourself under pressure and how our brains are wired and how that wiring can throw you off as a trader. And that's why I want to do this series. That's why I wrote the book. It's not about, more strategies, more indicators. It's not about that. It's about becoming someone that can, manage themselves within the framework of a strategy, becoming someone who can, develop discipline and develop consistency. That's where the money resides. But yeah, once you understand your wiring, once you understand how your brain actually works and how, these systems that are hardwired into us, once you really get an understanding of that, your past mistakes are going to stop feeling like complete failures, and they're going to turn into data points. And with those data points, we can build from that, you know what I mean? So this is Trade Brain. This is Trade Brain, and this is where your consistency as a trader, this is where that starts.